You are looking at the grave of Hethie Stallworth here in Beatrice, Alabama. Now, Hethie Stallworth may not be famous to anybody but me, because Hethie Stallworth was my great 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 grandmother, and I am telling my story to you because my story is probably very similar to a lot of other Black Americans who hail from the Deep South. Again, this is Beatrice, Alabama. Beatrice is in Monroe County, and it is 40 miles from the middle of nowhere. But that's okay, because it's a lot of good people that came from this place. And one of those people, I assume, was this woman, Hethie Stallworth. And the reason I'm telling you the story of my great grandmother, Hethie Stallworth, is because Miss Hethie Stallworth's headstone, and I don't know if you can read it really clearly on this video, but I will do an overlay to make it seem a little clearer to you. Hethie Stallworth made sure that her headstone showed that she was born in Richmond, Virginia, in December 25th, 1840. Okay? Richmond, Virginia, 1840. But we're in Beatrice, Alabama, and this is where she died. And why her story matters to more than me too, but certainly more than me, is because Richmond, Virginia and Beatrice, Alabama are quite a distance away. And my understanding or my contention is that my great grandmother, Hethie Stallworth, was part of the big Trail of Tears, the larger one, the one that they don't teach you in school. See, because the big Trail of Tears involved African Americans being enslaved African Americans being moved from the upper South, which is Virginia and Maryland area, to the Deep South, from the 1830s right on down to the 1850s or so. Now, the Trail of Tears that you learn about in school involved Native Americans. But the Trail of Tears that they don't teach you in school involved enslaved African Americans. The Trail of Tears that they don't teach you about was 20 times larger than the Native American Trail of Tears, because it involved moving enslaved people from from Virginia and Maryland down to Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Tennessee. They marched these people from the upper South to these Deep South areas. And they chained them up by their hands and their necks, and they marched these people 10 to 15 miles a day with chains on every day. Rain, sleet, snow, whatever terrain, they had to cross it walking. And these people were chained up somewhere between 5 and 20 people at a time. And it involved hundreds of people making this forced march. Forced to march thousands of miles, right? And when they got there, this place had to be repopulated. And this is why it becomes full circle and all interrelated. Because at one point, southern Alabama was Creek and Choctaw Indian territory, right? Those are parts of the so-called 5 civilized tribes. And in the 1830s, the United States government decided that they didn't want them on this land anymore because this land, Beatrice, Alabama, Monroe County, Alabama, all of that is part of what's known as the Black Belt. It's called the Black Belt not necessarily because of the people that populate this place now, but the people that populate this place came here because the black earth, the dirt, the land was so fertile that they called it the Black Belt. It was fertile land, fertile soil, black soil, good soil, right? Perfect for raising cotton. And because this land was so prosperous and so ripe for development of cash crops, they kicked those Native Americans off here and brought in the African Americans in great numbers. That's how a lot of African American people came to these places, okay? So when you think about how Alabama and Mississippi and Louisiana, how they got to be prosperous states prior to the Civil War, it was because of the Negroes that were forced from Virginia and that Maryland area down here. All right? So when you think about a Trail of Tears, I want you to think about the big one, the one that was 20 times larger than the one you learned about in school. Because that Trail of Tears, and it also involved black slaves, but black slaves of Native Americans. Well, this one was just a good old classic white folks rounding up Negroes and marching them to somewhere else. A forced migration. A forced migration. And in spite of it all, through it all, these people survived. And this story has got to be told. And I'm going to tell it. My grandmother, Hethie Stallworth, made sure that she had where she was born placed on her tombstone, Richmond, Virginia. And I believe that she wanted this story to be told, that she wasn't always here in southern Alabama. I think she wanted the story to be told that she was marched from Richmond, Virginia, all the way down to Beatrice, Alabama. And I hope that I'm honoring her legacy.